Hello and welcome back to the Cracking FAANG YouTube channel. Today we're going to be continuing in the systems design series and we're going to be talking about database partitioning. Alright, you managed to scale your system. Now what? What happens when the data in your database gets too big to fit on one machine? Or you need to support very high query throughput numbers. It's clear that as we grow our system to more data and more queries per second, you need to somehow adapt and scale the database to handle this increased load. The solution for this is partitioning. And partitioning is the process of breaking up a database into multiple pieces, which are called partitions or shards. Partitions are defined such that each piece of data belongs to one partition. You can think of each partition as a small database of its own, and all partitions combined make up the entirety of the database. So why should you partition your data? The reason that we partition our data is simple. It's a way to achieve scalability. Different partitions can live on different nodes in the system, and thus we can distribute our data across many machines, sharing the load instead of it all being concentrated on one machine. Partitioning is simple in theory, but getting it right in practice is difficult and, like always, has trade-offs to be made. The idea of partitioning is to spread the data and the query load evenly across the machines in the cluster. If each node should take its fair share, then adding n machines should be able to handle n times as much data as a single machine. But partitioning is hard. The difficulty of partitioning is ensuring that the data is distributed across the nodes in the cluster evenly, such that each node receives its fair share of the load. Otherwise, we get what are known as hotspots because our data is said to be skewed. That is, some partitions experience higher load than others. Let's look at an example dealing with books. And we're going to be talking about a catalog of books. And in this example, let's say we have a database which stores information about books, and the primary key of our database, or how we access the data for a book, is by the title. The most basic partitioning method is known as range-based partitioning. We divide up the range of values into sections, and if a value falls into that section, it goes into that partition. Let's say, for example, we have 4 partitions. Books with titles A to E, F to M, N to Q, or R to Z. So if a book's title starts with B, it would go in the partition A to E, starting with a W would go into R to Z, and so on and so forth. So this sounds great, seems simple, but it doesn't quite work. This method of partitioning is very easy to understand and set up, but can you see the issue here? Even though it's really easy to find which partition a book belongs to based on its title, the issue is that the first character of a book's title is not uniformly distributed. Therefore, titles with W, Y, and Z as their first character are way less common than titles with A, B, or C. So that first partition is going to be getting a much larger amount of data than the fourth partition, and therefore we have a hotspot. Are there any pros to this approach? While this partitioning scheme has the issue of hotspots, does it have any benefit to be here? And the answer is yes, in that we can do very fast range scans. In this system, it's very fast to get the books with title from B to D because they're all in the same partition and stored alphabetically. If you know anything about how data is stored on hard drives, if the data is stored close to each other, it's much easier to do a scan as opposed to having to jump across places on the disk. Obviously, that's a very simplified way of putting it, but the farther apart your data is, the farther you have to scan for that information. If it's all close together, then it's much faster to retrieve the data. So another approach we could take is hashing. And this is going to be where we take a good hash function, and this will take skewed data and distribute it randomly. This is going to solve our problem of skewed partitions, but we now have another issue. Can you spot it? The problem now is that the keys are truly randomly distributed throughout the partitions. This means that now we cannot do range scans because keys that would logically be next to each other are now scattered randomly across the partitions. Therefore, we have to query all the partitions to get a range of values. For example, if we wanted to get all the books with titles from B to D, in the first example, they would all be on one partition and we could get them quickly. In this example, we would have to query all of the partitions and ask it for books whose titles begin with B and go until D. Then we would have to get all of those, amalgamate them into one response, and return that to the user instead of just getting them all from one partition. So you can see that it's a bit more complex. So let's now look at a real world example, and we'll be talking about Twitter. Obviously, Twitter has a massive amount of users, and these users produce a large volume of data. We're going to need a way to distribute it across multiple machines so that it can be read and written efficiently. So what's option number one? We could shard on the user ID. We could try to store all of the data for a given user on some server, which would be determined by hashing their user ID to determine that server. On that server, we're going to store all of the tweets, favorites, followers, etc. for a given user there, right? That is their partition. That's where all of their data will live. When we need to fetch the data for that user, we're going to figure out which partition their information is on with our hash function and then pull the data from there. Simple. But there's always a trade-off. Now, let's look at the pros and cons of this approach. The pros are all of the data for a single user will be on a single partition. Therefore, it's really easy to do range scans on this user's data. The second pro is that partitions should have an equal number of users because the hash function will distribute them randomly. The issues with this approach is that what happens if a user is extremely popular or a Twitter power user? That means that the partition that they live on is going to get a very high amount of load when that user is using the site. This will affect performance, especially for celebrity users who have hundreds of millions of followers and post a lot of content. Over time, some power users are going to amass a lot of tweets, followers, etc., and thus it'll be very difficult for us to maintain a uniform distribution of data between the partitions, which is the whole purpose of partitioning in the first place. Option number two is that we could shard based on the tweet ID. Instead of partitioning based on the user ID, we can instead partition based on the hash of the tweet ID. This has the pro of solving the issue of hot users and unbalanced partitions, but the downside here is that since we're going to be distributing based on the hash of the tweet ID, the tweets for a user will no longer be guaranteed to live on a single server. This means that to get the information for a user, we need to again query all of the partitions and aggregate the results. This is going to result in higher latencies due to the number of round trips to the other database servers to fetch this information. Okay, what's approach number three? We could shard based on tweet creation time. The reasons we might want to do this is that if you think about Twitter, recent tweets are going to make up most of the traffic for the site. So being able to fetch those recent tweets quickly is great, and only a small number of servers would need to be queried. The problem here is that traffic load is not distributed evenly. When writing, only one partition will get all of the writes, since that one partition will be responsible for the most recent range of time. And when we're going to be reading data, since we know that most of the recent tweets make up the user traffic, that small number of partitions is going to get most of the traffic while the others sit there relatively dormant. So this approach isn't that great. So what about if we do something clever, and that is using a composite key, which is somehow combining TweetID with CreationTime, because both of them have strong pros that we want to make use of. So if we instead decided to create a tweet ID that is monotonically increasing, then it's possible for us to combine the benefits of sharding on tweet ID and CreationTime, because we can distribute data evenly but still be able to perform range scans for recent tweets, because that ID will contain some sort of timestamp. right? If the IDs are constantly increasing and they're not just randomly generated, UUIDs, then one ID, you can always tell which one was created first because it will have a larger or smaller number. That way you can easily figure out creation time, and you can sort these things and you can easily access recent tweets because they should have the largest ID values. Now, again, this has some trade-offs, and the pros of this is that you get an even distribution of the data, and you also get an easy mechanism to find the recent tweets, because obviously recent tweets will be the ones with the largest IDs here, and the earlier ones will be the ones with the smaller IDs. The cons here, we still don't have a way to get around the problem that we're going to need to query all of the servers to get the data for a user. We're still hashing based on the tweet ID, and we need to distribute those tweets evenly. So for a user, they're not going to be on the same server. That means that we have to query all the servers and fetch the data. So one thing that can happen after you partition your data is that it becomes unbalanced, right? As you add more and more data to your system, sometimes the partitions are not going to be balanced, and you need to alleviate this to improve the performance of your system. Right? We looked at ways that we could avoid hotspots in our database by setting up different partitioning schemes, but like I mentioned, these aren't always perfect, and sometimes you need to do what's called a rebalance. The details of how to perform this are outside the scope of this video, but essentially, we need to move data around between the partitions to spread out the load evenly after the change is made. We want to aim to move as little data as possible while we're rebalancing, and we also need to keep accepting reads and writes while this is happening. Another issue that comes up with partitioning is actually request routing. Now that we have multiple partitions of our data, we have a bit of a problem. How do we keep track of which partition is holding a piece of data? Now, what we could do is, there's a few approaches here, and the first approach could be that each node itself knows about the location of all the data in the database, and you choose a random node to receive your request, and if it has the data, great, it can serve it to you. If not, it will forward the request to the node that it actually has it. So we can see that this is case number one, where the client sends a request to a node randomly, that node doesn't have the data, and it can simply bounce it to the node that does have it. And option number two is that we have some sort of routing tier, which is aware of all of the partitions and what data lives where. So you would first send your request to the routing tier, and then the routing tier would handle sending the request to the proper database partition to actually fetch your data. Or the third option is that the client is actually aware of the location of all of the data partitions, and it can send the request directly to it. So these are some options for how you might get around this issue. If you do want to do some extra reading, I would highly recommend that you look at Apache Zookeeper, which is a distributed way to basically figure out, it's called service discovery, and it's a way to basically figure out where which service is doing what and which IP address it's at. So you should definitely look more into Apache Zookeeper if you're interested in this topic. But for now, we're just going to present that, hey, you need to know where your data is, and this is going to add a bit of complexity to your system. So thank you for watching. There you go, a basic introduction into database partitioning. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new about partitioning that you can apply to your system design studies going forward. Please make sure to like and comment on the video, as the engagement really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and please subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.